Hey everyone, welcome to Rise English. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Sophie. So glad you're here with us today.
Wherever you're listening on your commute, on your lunch break, maybe in bed avoiding the next thing on your to-do list, this is your place.
Okay, I have a question for you, and I want you to actually think about it for a second.
Uh-oh.
When someone asks how your day at work was, what do you actually say?
Fine. Good. Pretty busy.
Right. 3 words. And how was it really?
Honestly, it was one of those days where there was that weird tension in the morning meeting, and then my manager sent me this email at 4 p.m. that I'm still not sure how to read, and a colleague said something in a group chat that I'm still thinking about, and I left feeling like I'd done everything and nothing at the same time.
See? That's the real answer. And that's what today is about.
Today we're going to actually walk through what a complicated day at work sounds like in English. Not just the words, the real language people use when they're living it.
And here's what you'll get by the end. Real phrases and sentence patterns for describing your morning, your meetings, the tricky moments in between, and how to talk about the day after it's over. Phrases you can use tomorrow.
This is a B1 to B2 episode. We talk the way people actually talk. When a word or phrase is worth slowing down for, we'll do that together. And stay with us to the end. We have our words of the day where we look closely at the best language from today.
Before we get into it, think about your last complicated day at work or school. You don't have to describe it yet. Just think. What's the first word that comes to mind? Hold on to that. We'll come back to it. So, a complicated day. What actually makes a day complicated? Not a bad day, not a great day, a complicated one.
It's usually not one big thing. It's a bunch of small things that add up. The morning already felt little off. There was a moment in a meeting you're still replaying. Someone said something and you're not sure what they meant. You finish the day tired, but it's not the good kind of tired.
The good kind of tired is when you worked hard and you know it. The complicated kind of tired is when you worked hard and you're not sure what it added up to.
Exactly. And listeners, that feeling, that's actually really common. And there's real English for it. Let's start from the beginning of the day.
Ryan, walk me through your morning. How did you know it was going to be one of those days?
Honestly, I could feel it before I even got to my desk. I checked my phone on the commute and there was already a message from my manager. Before 9 a.m.,
Before 9 a.m. What did it say?
it said, "Can we find time to connect today?" Which sounds fine. But when your manager sends that with no context, no subject, just "can we connect?" your brain immediately starts filling in the gaps.
Oh yeah, can we connect is never just, can we connect?
Never. I spent the whole commute trying to figure out what I'd done. I had this feeling in my stomach. You know that feeling when something might be wrong, but you don't know what yet?
Yes, that low-level dread.
Low-level dread. Yes. And then I got in and there were back-to-back meetings until noon. No time to think. No time to follow up. I was just running.
Back-to-back meetings, that's when one meeting finishes and the next one starts immediately. No break in between. Ryan, just listening to this, I'm tired.
It was exhausting before lunch. And what about you? How did your morning go?
Mine started with an email I wished I hadn't opened first thing. A client replied to a proposal I'd sent, and let's just say the feedback was pointed.
Pointed. What do you mean by pointed?
Like direct, sharp. Not rude exactly, but you could feel there was some frustration behind it. The email was professional, but the tone was cold. And when you read something like that first thing in the morning, it just sets the tone for the whole day.
It sets the tone. Yeah. Because your brain is still fresh. And that's the first thing it takes in.
Exactly. So I spent the first hour in this slightly defensive headspace, not panicking, just on edge.
On edge. That's a good one. Like you're waiting for the next thing to go slightly wrong.
Right? You're not anxious exactly, you're just alert, a little tense, ready for something.
And listeners think about your morning. Does any of this sound familiar? That feeling of being on edge before the day really starts. Maybe you got a message that gave you that low-level dread. Or your morning was just back to back with no room to breathe.
Here's a sentence you can use to describe that kind of morning. I knew it was going to be one of those days the moment I checked my phone. Or, the morning set a weird tone and I never quite shook it. Try saying one of those in your head right now. Which one fits your last difficult morning?
And if you want to practice, write it in the comments. Tell us, how did your last complicated morning start? We read every single one.
Okay, so the morning is done. And most complicated days have at least one moment in the middle that you're still thinking about on the way home. Ryan, what was yours?
The meeting with my manager finally happened at 2 p.m., and it was fine. Like, on the surface, completely fine. She just wanted to check in on a project I'm leading.
So it was fine.
It was fine. But at the end of the meeting, she said, and I'm going to quote this exactly, I think this is going in a really interesting direction. And then she moved on.
Interesting direction.
Interesting direction. And I sat there smiling and I said, thanks, I'm glad. And the call ended. And then I just sat at my desk for 5 minutes, not sure what had just happened.
Because interesting direction could mean two completely different things.
Exactly. It could mean this is genuinely interesting, I like it. Or it could mean this is a strange choice, and I'm too polite to say so. And I could not tell which one it was.
When you can't tell which way to read something, that's what we call ambiguous. The message was ambiguous. And ambiguous is one of the most uncomfortable things to sit with at work.
Because you can't respond to it, you can't fix it, you just have to live with not knowing.
So what would you have wanted to say in that moment?
Honestly, something like, I want to make sure I understand, is there anything you'd want me to adjust? That opens it up without being defensive. You're just asking for clarity.
I want to make sure I understand that's such a useful phrase. It's calm, it's professional, and it gets you the information you actually need. You can use that in almost any situation where you're not sure what someone means.
What about you? What was your moment?
Mine was in a team meeting. Someone brought up my project without telling me they were going to, and said in front of everyone. I think Sophie's approach is pretty bold. And the room kind of went quiet for a second.
Bold. Bold is the new interesting.
Bold is a word that can go either way. It can mean brave, confident, creative, or it can mean risky, unexpected, maybe too much. And in that room, in that silence, I genuinely had no idea which one they meant.
What did you do?
I said, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Which sounds calm, which bought me time, and which put the next move on them.
That's a good move. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. You're not agreeing. You're not defending. You're just opening the door and waiting.
And listeners, think about your complicated day. Was there a moment like this? A word someone used that you weren't sure how to read? A comment in a meeting that landed a little differently than expected? Try to describe it with this. Someone said something that I wasn't quite sure how to take. Or, The comment was meant to be positive, I think, but it landed a bit oddly.
And here's the thing. Both of those sentences are honest without being dramatic. They describe a real feeling without over-explaining it. That's the tone that works in English when you're talking about moments like this.
In the comments, tell us, have you ever had a moment at work where someone said something and you weren't sure how to read it? What did they say? You can write it in English and we'll read it.
Okay, so the day's done, you shut your laptop, you're on your way home. And someone, your partner, your friend, whoever asks how your day was, what do you actually say?
Honestly, I usually start with a sigh.
That's valid. The sigh is its own sentence.
It is, but then I try to actually say it, because I think there's something about putting it into words that helps, even if it's just to one person.
Okay, let's actually do this. Sophie asked me how my day was, and I'll describe it the way I'd actually describe it.
All right, Ryan, how was your day?
Well, it was one of those days. Not bad exactly, but complicated. It started off on the wrong foot. I got a message before I even got to my desk, and it put me in my head for the whole morning. Then I had back-to-back meetings and no time to think. And in the afternoon, I had this conversation with my manager that I'm still not sure how to read. She said something that I took as positive, but I can't tell if it actually was. I left feeling like the day happened to me rather than me actually doing anything.
That was really good, and I want to point out what you just did there naturally, without thinking about it.
What did I do?
You gave it structure. You started with the overall feeling, one of those days, not bad exactly, but complicated. Then you went through it in order: morning, then meetings, then the afternoon moment. And you ended with how you felt leaving. That structure is actually really useful.
And I used some specific phrases. Started off on the wrong foot. That means the beginning didn't go well. It put me in my head. That means I couldn't stop thinking about it. The day happened to me like I was just reacting instead of doing.
Those phrases are doing a lot of work. They're not complicated, but they give the listener a real picture, not just "it was stressful," which tells them almost nothing.
Right. Stressful is a closed door. These phrases are open doors. They invite the other person in.
Okay, now let me try mine. How was my day?
Sophie, how was your day?
Complicated. It started with a client email that was, let's say, not warm. And that set a slightly tense mood for the whole morning. I spent most of it trying to sort out my response without sounding defensive. Then, in the team meeting, someone put me on the spot not nastily, but unexpectedly, and I had to think on my feet. I recovered fine, I think. But I left with that feeling of, I held it together, but it took effort. Does that make sense?
I held it together, but it took effort. That's such an honest sentence.
It's how it actually felt.
And listeners now, it's your turn. Try describing your last complicated day using this structure. Start with the overall feeling. Then 1 or 2 moments from the day, morning, middle, or end. Then how you felt leaving. You don't need perfect sentences, just try the shape.
Here are some openers to get you started. It was one of those days where, or, it started off on the wrong foot because, or, there was this moment in the afternoon that I'm still processing. Use one of those and finish the sentence. Say it out loud right now. Even if no one's listening, that practice is real.
And put it in the comments. We genuinely love reading them. Tell us, how was your last complicated day? Use as many or as few words as you need.
Okay, before we close, let's slow down for our words of the day.
We go back through the best language from today and look at it a little more closely. Not because you missed it, because it's worth keeping.
Number 1, on edge. Ryan used this one in the morning section. On edge means you're tense, a little anxious, like you're waiting for something to go wrong, not panicking, just not relaxed. I spent the whole morning on edge. She seemed a bit on edge in the meeting. I was on edge all day after that email. Say it, on edge.
On edge is really useful because it's more specific than nervous or stressed. It captures that particular feeling alert, tense, slightly braced. Number 2, sets the tone. Something that happens early, a message, a meeting, a comment, and it affects the mood of everything that follows. That email in the morning set the tone for the whole day. The manager's opening comment set a pretty tense tone. Notice it can set a good tone too. He started the meeting on a positive note, and it set the tone really well. Say it. Sets the tone.
This phrase works in so many contexts. A conversation, a meeting, a relationship, a project. The beginning shapes everything that comes after. Number 3, ambiguous. B, 2-level. Something is ambiguous when it has more than one possible meaning and you can't tell which one is intended. Her feedback was really ambiguous. I couldn't tell if she liked it or not. The email was ambiguous, so I sent a follow-up. He gave me this ambiguous smile, and I didn't know what to think. Say it, ambiguous.
The opposite of ambiguous is clear or unambiguous. And at work, ambiguous is one of the most uncomfortable things to deal with because you can't respond to something you don't fully understand. Number 4, put me on the spot. Sophie used this one. When someone puts you on the spot, they ask you something or bring attention to you suddenly and unexpectedly, often in front of other people. He put me on the spot in the meeting by asking me to present without warning. She put me on the spot with a really personal question. I hate being put on the spot. I need time to think. Say it. Put me on the spot.
Notice you can change the pronoun. Put me on the spot. Put him on the spot. I was put on the spot. Very flexible. Number 5, think on your feet. When you think on your feet, you respond or make a decision quickly without preparation. I had to think on my feet when she asked me a question I wasn't ready for. He's really good at thinking on his feet in presentations. I'm better in writing. Thinking on my feet in meetings is hard for me. Say it out loud. Think on my feet.
This is a great phrase to know because it's also a skill people compliment. You're really good at thinking on your feet. That's a genuine compliment in a professional setting. Number 6, I held it together, or I kept it together. When you hold it together, you stay calm and composed, even when things are difficult. I held it together during the presentation, but I was a mess inside. She held it together really well in a tough situation. And the version Sophie used, I held it together, but it took effort. That last part is really honest. It says, I did it, but it cost something. Say it. I held it together.
Today's 6, on edge, sets the tone, ambiguous, put me on the spot, think on my feet, I held it together. Choose one. Make a sentence about your real life with it. Say it out loud right now. If you want to share, the comments are right there.
All right, your one good step for today. Think of your last complicated day at work or school or wherever and describe it out loud using the structure. Overall feeling first, then one moment from the morning, one from the middle of the day, then how you felt leaving. Try to use at least one phrase from today. Say it to yourself. Say it to someone. Or write it in the comments.
Today, we walked through a complicated day from the very beginning to the very end. In the morning, that feeling of low-level dread, being on edge, back-to-back meetings, a day that starts off on the wrong foot. The language for all of that.
In the middle, that one moment you're still replaying. a comment that was ambiguous, being put on the spot, not being sure how to read something, and the phrases that actually help, I want to make sure I understand. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. I wasn't quite sure how to take it.
And on the way home, how to actually say it. It was one of those days. Not bad exactly, but complicated. The day happened to me. I held it together, but it took effort. Those are honest sentences. And honest sentences are the ones that actually connect.
Here's what I keep thinking about. Most people who are learning English can describe a simple day, a good day, a bad day, but a complicated day with all the nuance and texture of how it really felt that takes specific language. And now you have some of it.
You don't have to say it perfectly. You just have to say it. That's how the language starts to feel like yours.
If this episode helped like it, share it with one person who's learning English. It really does help us keep making these.
Take care of your English.
And take care of your growth. This is Rise English. See you next time.